How's everybody doing today? This is Andrew Haggerty here with another Tea with Andrew. Recently, I got back from the New Mexico Association of Realtors state meeting, the INMAR meeting, and there was a large amount of discussion around marijuana, which real estate and marijuana obviously goes hand in hand, but it truly does because marijuana has just done a very good job of, or has just uh, made marijuana legal for recreational use, and everything is kind of coming into a head on April 1st. So a lot of the conversations are happening. How's it going to work? What's going to happen? Why that's huge is one, I have a real estate license in New Mexico as well. I'm on the border of New Mexico, along with a lot of people as well. And a lot, a lot of conversations that came up from that, I think was important conversations that I'd love to talk about today. You know, whether you're pro marijuana or anti-marijuana, it doesn't really matter. That's not what we're here talking about. I'm not talking about the evils of marijuana or the good of marijuana. I'm talking about how it's going to affect real estate and properties and everything like that here in the upcoming future. On April 1st, another April Fool's Day game, our contracts last year, marijuana is going to actually have legalized dispensaries for recreational use available in New Mexico. That is going to be a huge game changer along all the border towns such as El Paso. And if I'm going to create a dispensary, am I going to do it in Cruces where there's 200,000 people, or am I going to do it in Chaparral, Santa Teresa, Anthony, which is right next to almost 1 million people in El Paso? So I think you're going to see a lot of growth in that area right around there as far as those kind of things. Now, for those of you who don't understand the rules of what's changing and what's happening, is New Mexico actually made a law that everyone, if you're over 21 years of age, is allowed to have 2 ounces of marijuana on them at any time, as long as they're not brandishing it, trying to sell it, do anything like that. What makes that scary is Texas does not have those rules. The city of Anthony is a weird city where half of it's in Texas, half of it's in Mexico. So to think that you're walking down the street following the laws that magically no longer are the law in the neighborhood, and it can and will happen. And how will that go into effect? Something I don't know the answers to. I'm not a police officer in those regards, but I think there's going to be a lot of things as far as home ownership. Are more people going to say, "Hey, I can do this in New Mexico. I'm going to sell my home and move to New Mexico"? You've already got lower taxes. Now this is available. The rules are, if you're over 21 years of age, you can have 6 plants and 6 insured plants with no more than 12 plants per household. That is a huge change. Now, the problem with that is these plants require a lot of water, which what they're seeing already going on in New Mexico is they're having huge mold issues if people aren't taking care of the watering issues and things like that. That's something that is that may become an issue coming up, where now in New Mexico, when we're looking at homes, are we going to have to worry about mold issues? Are we going to is that going to be more of a deal than it's been in the past, because we are kind of a drier climate? Cities do not have the ability to tell people they can do it, which has made it kind of weird as well. They're also looking at in stating places where people have designated areas where they can consume it, which again is one of those things that's going to be an issue of how you play it. But I think just looking at the fundamentals and real estate wise, I think border towns, El Paso definitely being one of them, you're going to see a lot bigger influx of possible marijuana usage, people going back and forth across the border. A good example of this is July 4th weekend. We have a situation where New Mexico allows fireworks, El Paso doesn't. There are actual police and fire departments whose entire job is to do sting operations on people buying fireworks and bring them back in El Paso. What's going to happen now with recreational marijuana availability going into play, and how will that change things, and how is that going to work? Again, I don't have the answers to that, but I think you're going to see some more home sales of people wanting to move into New Mexico. If you got a New Mexico license, it's something you need to look at as well. Of okay, how do I start marketing, saying, hey guys, you live in El Paso, New Mexico has cheaper taxes, as well as the other things that are going on. There's the final rules of New Mexico have not really been completely fleshed out yet. They're in the process of it. So that's kind of interesting that we don't really know the final rules of how they're going to do it. New Mexico has had a lot of people put out some rules of what they can and can't do. Now, some of the rules are it has to be inconspicuous. So you can't, if you have marijuana plants in your home, you can't have it advertised. You can't show them. They have to be hidden. Same with backyards. There has to be security and all sorts of things that can and can't be done. But come April 1st, there will be some dispensaries growing up, I assume, in Chaparral, I assume in Anthony, in Santa Teresa, Las Cruces, all those areas, because it is now going to be legal to do such things. And for that reason, it could make it interesting in this part of the state of Texas, where we are that close to the border of a state that has it and is available. I don't know what the police are going to do or how they're going to handle that, because I don't know much about it. But 2 ounces seems like a lot to me, and it'll be interesting to see the play. And because it's one of those things where I didn't think about it. I didn't realize I had it on me. I'm from New Mexico. I went to get my haircut or whatever in Texas, and now I'm in jail. Again, I'm not here to say the good, bad, or the ugly of marijuana. I'm just talking about some of the things that could come into play. You are not allowed to just smoke it in any way, shape, or form. It has to be done in certain areas. Now, the 2 ounces is of raw material. You're allowed 800 milligrams of edible cannabis or 16 grams of cannabis extract, and it must remain out of public sight. So, getting caught by police with not exceeding those legal limits is in public is a misdemeanor, and you can face up to 364 days in jail. So that they are still saying it's not a free for all. You can't do whatever you want, but it's interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes into play. Same with the plants. You're allowed to up to 12. If you exceed that, it's a 4th-degree felony with a prison sentence of up to 18 months and a fine of up to $5,000. So I'm really interested to see how this comes out and goes into play. And I think the fact that New Mexico is not 100% ready yet, they are working on it. And we had a great presentation from the people who are setting up the rules and how it's going to play. It'll be interesting to see. I think mold is definitely going to be something we're going to see a lot more of as an issue. I think there's going to be some questions too, as far as changes to the reports of, was marijuana grown here or was it not, or are we allowed to know that? I think that's some of the questions that Inmar was having, is what kind of disclosures are we going to have to start giving in that regard. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But right now, I just want to make sure everybody's aware. April 1st, the dispensaries are legal in New Mexico, and I think they will be open, and they'll be open for business. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. But there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not a lawmaker in that state, and it is what it is. But it's just something we are going to we're going to see some movement from. I think anyone who got their property taxes this year in El Paso, the sticker shock was beyond what anybody was expecting. And it's going to continue to get worse and worse. And New Mexico's property taxes are going to get more and more friendly looking. And there's definitely a group of people who are going to say, hey, I can grow my own plants and I can pay less taxes. I don't understand why I'm in El Paso. So it may create a huge influx of people moving into New Mexico, selling their homes in El Paso. Just be prepared for some changes that could go into play. So what I may do is try to talk with the police officers, some police officers I know, and say, hey, how are you guys handling this? What is your plan? And see if I can get that answer and see what they say. Because it would be interesting to know, what are their thoughts? How are they going to handle it? What are they going to see? What are they going to say? Are they going to treat it as, if I don't see it, I don't care about it? And I think it'll depend on the officers themselves, unless they have their own set of rules. I know the county of El Paso did cite a couple of years ago the cite and release, where you got a ticket and then you're let go instead of being sent to jail, depending on the amount of marijuana you had on you in possession. But with this going in and being more and more prevalent because it's allowed to be, how will that change things? I really don't have the answer to. But it'll be interesting to see what happens and what happens to those small towns along the border as well. Will that become a major shopping place? Going into Colorado, it's one of the first things you see going into it is some dispensaries. So You might see the same kind of things where there's very large billboards, large things, and the signage rules they create, they don't have rules on signage as of yet. So it could be very large signs saying "Come here and buy from us." So be on the lookout, look at it, and be prepared for maybe some listings coming up. If you're in New Mexico, maybe some more buyers wanting to purchase because they are making it recreational, and a lot more things going to happen. Other than that, guys, don't have too much. I just thought there's one of those things where I was like, oh, they made a big deal about it, so I think we need to talk about it. I'm probably the wrong guy to talk about it because I'm not a marijuana man myself, but I thought you guys should know. So with that, hope you guys have a great one, and we'll see you next week.